I am Lauren. I am one of the product managers here at Sonar. And for today's Lunch and Learn, I'm going to be walking you through custom links and all about how they might help you work more efficiently within Sonar and whatever other systems you're also using to supplement that. So let's get started. For our agenda today, we're going to go through 4 main areas. First of all, I will discuss what is it? What do we mean by custom links and what might they mean to you? How does it work? I'll walk through a couple examples, some sample setups to help give you ideas and highlight their ease of use and access throughout Sonar, really. Third section, how do you start using it? A really quick rundown of how you can start implementing custom links within your instance. Really could be right after this Lunch and Learn if you're so inclined. That's how simple they can be to set up, as you'll see later in this Lunch and Learn. And finally, after all that, we'll jump into a Q&A if any questions do come up throughout this Lunch and Learn. First, I want to discuss what life was like in Sonar before custom links was introduced. For those of you who did want a feature like this and you're working with external third-party tools to help supplement your Sonar experience, you might find that there was just too many clicks, there was too much searching. There was no easy way from Sonar to access your other ones. So it might have meant a lot of clicking around. For example, maybe you're a company who uses Salesforce or any other CRM like that internally, and you want to check something account related. Before custom links, you would, maybe you're opening another tab, you're going to Salesforce, you're trying to find the Salesforce ID, may or may not align with Sonar. Maybe you kept it in a custom field. Regardless, it was a lot of steps. It was a lot of searching. It was a lot of clicking. You may have been using custom fields as a workaround for this. Potentially you had one on the account or network site or whichever entity that housed a hyperlink to any of your third-party systems or anything you wanted to easily access from Sonar. This wasn't an ideal solution. As you may know, hyperlinks, when added to a custom field, they're not clickable. It's all text. You'd have to copy and paste. And again, that manual searching and clicking to open a new tab to access it. Not an ideal workflow. Plus, you would have to use the same URL for each entity, copy and paste, the whole same long thing. So it's a lot more setup in that regard too. And finally, there's no easy way to create a manually triggered automation path or workflow from Sonar. Of course, we offer native integrations and automatic webhooks for certain situations, but sometimes, and I'll walk you through like sort of an example later on, you might want a workflow or an automation to be kicked off by a person at a certain point in time. And that's where custom links can help you with that too. So this is where we were before. So where are we now? What are custom links and how are they going to help you address all of this? At its core, it'll help you create dynamic links. They'll provide a way to easily access these links from any entity you add it to, the ones we do offer, and they'll be tailored to each individual entity. So for example, if you're making use of custom fields or the Sonar ID, that link is going to be unique to whatever account or network site you're looking at. So in that regard, really, really powerful. So this can be incorporated, like I said, through custom fields or our Sonar ID if we are the source of truth for that. If you do set up custom links, it's going to help you enable seamless connections with whatever you're linking out to. So like I mentioned previously, a lot of searching, a lot of clicking around. If you're trying to access another system with custom links, they're easily accessible from the entity you're looking at. So you don't have to go to another tab, simply click and go. And we'll see that in use coming up. And finally, it's accessible right now from key Sonar areas. We initially rolled this out to accounts and to tickets, and very recently we also expanded the functionality to include network sites and serviceable addresses, as those both support custom fields, so custom links will be very powerful for them as well. So that is a high level of custom links. Let's get into, well, how do they actually work? So let's go through some examples together. First, how do we create a custom link? For the first example, we're going to walk through, it's just a little demo. I'm using Google Places as an example on accounts. This is going to highlight how you can create your custom links while incorporating a custom field and how that's going to make it unique to each, account in this case that you're looking at. So let me just press play. I will slow it down. Make sure you can actually see what we're looking at. To start, you will find custom links in settings, in miscellaneous, and custom links. Worth noting, this is also where custom fields are if you are going to be making use of them. This is going to take you to a table with all your existing custom links if you have any, highlights all of the setup info you have here. Then, like anywhere else, you'll create custom link. You'll add a name. This is purely informational. You'll select the link text. So this is what the URL is going to show as throughout Sonar. And then we have the entity type. So these are the areas where the links can apply right now. For this example, we're going with account. And then you'll add your URL. It's really important that whatever you put in here is just the base URL, the part of that link that isn't going to change depending on the entity. So in this case, I'm using my Google example. And then we add our variable, and it's going to show us a list of all the text custom fields on accounts, plus the entity ID. In this case, this would be the account ID. We want the place ID for this example. It's going to align to our Google Places. Once that's done, you can select an icon, something that's going to be noticeable, really easily accessible. In this case, I'm going with a globe for Google Maps. And give it a color so it stands out between all your other links. In this case, I'm choosing green. If you're happy with all this information, simply click Create. Now we can see our custom link within our table. It will also highlight any custom field or variable that you added in for ease of viewing, and everything else you set up for it. So that's really how to create a custom link. There's not much to it. Just giving it what you want it to appear as, and setting up that URL and whatever variable you might want to use for it. So now let us move over to actually seeing what that does for us in action. Let's slow it down. From an account, I'm going to go to the sidebar. The custom links are accessible from anywhere you can see an account in the sidebar. This account does have my places link, and based on the custom field setup, it's taking me to the CN Tower for this one. So this is driven by our URL and what that custom field was populated with. Back into Sonar, let's look at a second account. Once again, into the sidebar, our custom links appear, but this one doesn't have my places link. This is going to be because since they are dynamic links and it's driven by custom field data, if we look here, it's not populated. And just a side note, if you're thinking this looks different, that's because of the account overview customization. I have edited it to look different for this demo. So let's go ahead and populate our custom field. We want to populate that place ID to be unique for this account to make sure that the link is going to take me where I need to go. And we will save. Awesome. It will take a second, but if you look in the header, you will see the custom link icons appear. You'll see my green globe from my Google Places example. The custom link table may take a refresh, but if you highlight it, you can see where your link text comes into play. And now, based on my custom field data, this is unique per the account. It's going to take me to Epcot. So while this is really just a demo example to show you how it is going to be unique per account, I hope this really highlights just the power it could be. So if you think about it in terms of maybe a CRM, instead of a place ID, this could be, your Salesforce ID is on the account. And instead of going to Google Places, it's taking you to those Salesforce accounts. So that's just one example of our custom links. I want to show another way that these custom links can be used. This is a really powerful example. You can use it not just to link out to third-party systems, but like I mentioned before, potentially you have some workflows or automations that you want your users to be able to manually trigger the activation of. So let's walk through an example of that. Before I get into it, for this example, it's on tickets. Potentially, I'm kicking off an automation that maybe makes an update to the ticket, or maybe it creates a job for me based off of the ticket ID. Let's start here. Once again, back into settings to create my custom link. I'm going to give it my informational name. I'm going to give it link text as it appears to the users in Sonar. I'm just going to call it automation start for this lunch and learn demo. And I want this custom link to be on my tickets. Once again, this URL entry is the base URL that is not going to change between entities. And we're going to use that variable selection to add the drop-down list of all options we can use here. My workflow is going to be based off the ticket ID, so I'm going to select entity ID. Once again, we want to give it an icon that's going to make it stand out and hopefully clear as to what the link is for. And I'm going to give it a color to make it stand out against any others I might have on tickets. And once we're happy with all of the information that's input here, I'm going to save. For this example, I'm just using a webhook test site to really walk through this automation demo for you. So I'll show you how that works out. So you can see, like before, it was added to the table. It will highlight the URL as well as which field we're utilizing to make it dynamic and which entity it's on. So that's the setup. Now we're going to walk through how this custom link automation example can work for you. Let's see. I am in my tickets. And once again, I'm going to go into the sidebar. Since we're using the entity ID as our variable, this custom link is going to appear on all of my tickets, not like the Google Places example where it was based on custom fields being populated. So we can see my link text, my automation start. It's also available from the sidebar. So wherever you're seeing tickets in the sidebar, that custom link is going to be there. Going into a ticket, once again, we have the links quickly available within the header. It's going to show the icon you selected, as well as a custom link section. So now I've clicked on it, just a simple example of you have initiated an automation, and I'll show you the website or the webhook site here. You can see it has passed through my ticket ID of 156. So this is just a really simple setup for the purposes of this demo. Just to walk through, you can start off an automation. It's going to kick it off. It's going to pass through whatever data you put into that URL. But hopefully this really opens your eyes to the world is really your oyster when it comes to automations like this. If you have something set up, ready to accept those URLs and kick off whatever workflow you might have, you can pass through the Sonar IDs to really get things started and have your users manually initiate some sort of workflow, any gap you might be missing there. Next, this is just simply to highlight all of the different areas where you'll find these custom links across the entities we have them available for. So starting with the serviceable address, on the manage page, it'll be in the header and also a custom links section. Worth noting, it would also appear on an account or network site. Network site, again, similar to accounts, in the header, your icons appear, as well as a custom link site on the overview. And finally, tickets, once again, like you just saw. We also have the icon available from the header area as well as a custom link section. And as we also showed, I just want to reiterate again that they're also available from any sidebar. So if you're looking at an account, a ticket, a network site, or a serviceable address from that sidebar, the custom links will be easily accessible from there. So now we've gone through some examples and how they appear within Sonar. How can you actually start making use of these? So as you saw in the previous examples, I hope it's really clear now that it's actually very simple to start setting up these custom links and jumping into them and having your users make use. First step would be identifying any potential use cases you may have for custom links that make sense for your business. Maybe you use a CRM, maybe you have an internal directory that would be useful. The sky's the limit in terms of where you might want to go with this. Next, if required, depending on what your URL setup would look like, make sure you have the appropriate custom fields created and populated where required. Like we saw in one of the examples, this could be an external ID. The step isn't required if your link is the same across all entities, or if you're simply using the Sonar entity ID, so the account ID or the ticket ID. Next, create your custom link. We walked through above. You give it a link text. You set the URL, select the variable you want, make a standout icon, make a standout color. You're good to go. After that, your users can start clicking, right? Easily accessible from the header, the sidebar, and within the overview pages for all of these entities they're available for. So that is it for my walkthrough.
Thank you, Lauren. That was amazing. Custom links are really exciting. The more I learn about them, the more I can imagine all the possibilities that our customers could use them for. We walked through two really great examples, one on the accounts, one on the tickets. Can you give us some examples you might think would be useful for our two new expanded areas where custom links are available, serviceable addresses and network sites?
For sure. So network sites, a good example that I've seen is if you have a third-party software or even just internal tool that houses additional building information about that network site you have, that would be a really handy link to include. Because right now, again, if you're looking for additional building information outside of Sonar, it's a lot of clicking, it's a lot of searching. Easily go there. It's sort of the same idea for serviceable addresses, but more customized or unique to serviceable addresses, I should say, like any planning tools or permit tools, things like that. I will mention, honorable mention, I suppose, you don't have to use custom fields. You don't have to use the entity ID. You could just have one URL across all of these entities. Like if you have an internal knowledge base that maybe people are going to a lot, for example, on tickets, maybe you have a knowledge base set up for troubleshooting steps. That's an option too. It could be the same across all of them. So honorable mention to that as well.
Amazing. Yeah, it can really be as simple or as complex as people want it to be. We saw custom links in action, and because of the screen recording, I just want to check in. Do custom links open in a new tab by default, or is this configurable?
So by default, yes, custom links will always open in a new tab. We didn't want to open in the same tab. We want to keep you in Sonar while bringing you where you need to go. I think it would have been very disruptive to just take you out of Sonar. So we weren't looking to make a detriment. We were looking to make it additive. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, Sonar is that source of truth for most of our customers, so it makes total sense. And last of my questions, and this might be the last of all the questions, I haven't seen any comments come through yet. Are these custom links visible to all users, or do you need to have certain permissions set up in order to see them?
Yeah, so it is worth mentioning that your users will need the view custom link permission to actually see these on the entities. So that is a really good call out.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for walking us through custom links today, Lauren. That was fantastic. I hope all of our attendees enjoyed and learned something today. And we will see you next month for our next Lunch and Learn. Thank you to everyone and have a great weekend.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.